G'day everyone, welcome to Marc and Car's Porsche Talk, the podcast where we talk about all things Porsche. If you love air-cooled, water-cooled, rear engine, front engine, or even mid-engine, there'll be something here for you. But most importantly, we'll speak to the people who are passionate about our favourite brand. I'm your host, Marc, from the YouTube channel Marc and Cars. Thanks for taking the time to support this channel and feel free to share any input, suggestions and ideas through the comments, reviews, or message me. You'll find me on most social media platforms as Marc and Cars. Before we get into it today, a special thank you to today's podcast sponsors, Bowden's Own. Australian-made premium car care products. I use them, love them, and you will too. They keep my little red car nice and shiny. Available at most auto stores here in Australia or online. Just Google Bowden's Own. Also, Rec Watches. Rec Watches are a Danish watch company that design and manufacture watches with an automotive theme. If you're a car nut, there's a good chance to make a watch using recycled parts from your favourite brand. I wear the 901. It's made from recycled 911 parts. Parts of the face and the back and even the movement include panel pieces, wheel pieces, etc. It's got an amazing movement. It's automatic, great theme, even includes the VIN number of the car it came off. So check them out at recwatches.com. Today's guest is Lee Dean from Duck and Whale. Lee's the editor of Duck and Whale and produces pretty much what I think is easily one of the best Porsche magazines, probably because it's Australian and we are. Thanks for joining us today, Lee.
G'day. How are you? Great to be here.
Great. Thanks, mate. How's life in Sydney lockdown?
Sydney not lockdown. Sydney's going well.
Yeah.
Going well. As Melbourne's just kind of entering into another one.
Yes, I managed to escape by the skin of my teeth last week. I got back into Perth. I think it was 14 hours to spare before I was going to get locked out of the place.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Yes, I was pretty fortunate there. Tell us, Duck and Whale, how long you been doing it?
Wow, it's coming up on 5 years. 5 years doing a print magazine. When I kicked it off, I thought, let's do 4 and we'll kind of see how it goes.
4 issues or 4 years?
4 issues.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Should we offer a subscription? What happens if we don't actually do one for a year? You know? So, it's been amazing. The take up around the world and here in Australia has been really humbling. And for a mag, we're just trying to offer a different take on the Porsche scene. Yeah, sure.
What was your background before doing this?
Yeah, I was always in magazines. From a mag point of view, I was in the UK for a little while doing auto car and auto sport. Designer. And I came back down here. I did some advertising agency stuff over there and just kind of jumping between the two worlds. And back over here, I work for Wheels Magazine, which is kind of where I cut my teeth in the Australian magazine scene. That was great working with some of the amazing Australia's best journos at the time, and just at the end of the Packer reign.
I imagine that experience would have given you, besides the obviously technical aspects of creating a magazine and seeing it all from front to back, from advertising through to production, I imagine it gave you a lot of contacts to start the project, I guess, for approaching the advertisers and the getting access to the PR agencies and those sorts of things.
Yeah, look, I learned a lot of craft in the magazines, and definitely from the editors and just the way they what they include and what they don't include. And initially we went down the normal route where you do a magazine, you give it to a distributor and it goes through, the news agencies, and we distributed overseas through an international distributor that was all just going to these small little news agencies and shops around the world, which is amazing.
Yes.
But after I think issue 4, we changed, where we just realised it was, especially in Australia where we have news agencies and most people, I don't know, are your viewers worldwide? I'm assuming they are.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we have pretty strong uptake in both Europe and North America.
Yeah. So most countries don't have news agencies with mags in them. So yeah, look, not to rag on news agencies, I love them and I spent a lot of time in them. As a kid, I just loved to just wander through and pick up magazines. And I ran a little design studio in Crow's Nest, and part of the job was like, look, I need an allowance to go and buy magazines.
Yes. Yeah.
I just pick up all these things. So, but in the reality of it, you'd print, I don't know, 5,000 mags, and 60% of them would end up in the pulper.
Yeah, sure. Look, I know very little about your industry other than the fact you produce something that entertains me. Okay.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it. But I often think, coming from business myself, I go into, not so much today, let's talk 15 years ago, before the real, when there was a lot more print media available to us, and in all honesty, it was much more disposable back then, hence the volume of it. I'd often go in a news agency and look at it and go, look at all these magazines. Every one of these people who has created this has had their dream, and it's just put into a pile with the rest of them. That's a very simplistic viewpoint for what you produce. Don't get me wrong, don't mean to make it sound less than what it is, but when you see a wall, even of just automotive magazines, there could be 40 to pick from a good news agency. And back then anyway, not so much.
Back then. There's about 6 now.
Yeah. But on that topic about the print media, there seems to be clearly an appetite for high quality stock, great photography, more lifestyle rather than product driven story. And that's not just in the automotive theme. You see that in, design magazines or fashion magazines these days. They've obviously had to evolve because of the instant, I guess, fill we get from the internet, which has filled that gap of those weekly magazines or monthly magazines. Yeah.
Well, your point there at the end is 100% correct. So if you think about what those magazines were, they were basically, well, if you take the women's mags, it's pretty much just a news feed of little bits of information, lots of little jump out things. They teach you in design to design for the different sexes as well. Like the way men process information and like it's split up into little sections.
Yes,
that is kind of how a men's mag looks, especially the cover and how you move through it. Whereas women's magazines is 4 different conversations at once, and they they can handle
and they're somehow listening to all of them.
And they're listening to all of them. So the magazines are designed in a way like that. So at the end of those kind of tabloid magazines or the waning of them is mainly because the internet has just taken that space now.
Yep.
But what it can't do is the longer, well, it doesn't do so much. It can do with video form. But there was always movies. So the premium larger story, more involved photography and the feeling and the
I feel like the days of magazine contributors trying to make sure their story is only long enough for the average man's time on the toilet, they've well and truly passed us, So.
Yes. Here's my coffee.
Tell me about. You obviously sat down at some point and said, right, I'm going to do this. I love Porsche. There's not enough out there for me. I think there's an audience for it, whatever. How was it hitting send on that keyboard with you had to send that off to the printer when you finally got the first issue done?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it was a nightmare. I was so freaked out over it. It was I think it was 15 days straight. I just said, look, I'm doing this. This is I booked the print spot at that point, which you're not supposed to move. And it was nerve-wracking. My wife had lost it at me because I'd just been working nonstop. Was this a full-time commitment? Were you working another job at the same time? What was the situation? Yeah, no, it was a side project.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, that would definitely test their patience, I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. So we had a small child at the time, our first son, and I said, you just look after him totally by yourself, and I'll do this, which that went down well. No, it was great. It was an exciting time, and but it was just so stressful when you're doing something for the first time, and
sure.
One of my old engineering science teachers just said, used to say, if you've done something once, you're an expert. It was near enough.
So it sounds like conversations I have with new Porsche owners.
Yeah.
Tell me about the how was the uptake off the bat? Has it been a grind, or has it been really well embraced off from the start for you?
So it's a good question and a difficult one, because in those first 4 issues, we didn't have much data. Like, we're quarterly, and most of the numbers and the systems work off a weekly or a monthly. So they were like, can you do 4 issues and we'll tell you what's happening?
Oh, really?
So, it's
like chucking eggs at a wall.
Yeah. We knew there was a 40% take up, which they were telling me was good. That was really good for a launch mag.
Yes.
If you are getting 60% sold, you're the best magazine in the world, and you're getting 40% waste.
Yeah. Okay.
So you print and it just gets binned. It's just such a terrible thing. So look, at that point I started to look around for a different distribution network, and I thought, in starting the magazine, I always thought, look, I love this product. I think it's got a position in the market, and there's a place for it. I just don't think this distribution network is right for it. And then the world changed, and the internet got more and more established with online shopping, especially here in Australia, which we were probably a bit slow on the take up. And we found different, it's kind of boring logistical stuff, but pack and send stuff. So we found that there's a lot of 3PL, they call it, it kind of places popping up where they've got like warehousing.
I'm going to just stop you for a sec there. For any listeners, 3PL means third-party logistics. That means somebody else is going to manage the physical distribution of the packages. That's what Lee's talking about there.
Yeah. So we basically just changed our business to be in a simple kind of wrap-up way, like a small little Amazon, a very small Amazon.
Who packs the magazines?
We still do in Australia here, but in the UK and Europe and in the US, we have little small kind of family businesses doing that.
Yeah, sure. Just so if anyone out there listening hasn't subscribed yet, they do come beautifully packaged.
Yes.
They're definitely packed with care. They're packed with care. There's no doubt about that. And overall, the finished product you must be proud of every issue that comes out. There's no shortcuts being taken on the product. Like every single page is quality stock. You haven't sort of only put a few good colour pages in, then resorted to rubbish stock in the middle, like a lot of magazines can be prone to do. It's a joy for me to see the thing in the letterbox each quarter that it comes out. Can you just out of curiosity, for a lot of listeners who look at the magazine and, like, let's face it, a magazine is a print version of Instagram. This is the best version of somebody. So it looks like Porsche lifestyle dream. But, none of us see when we get this magazine in our letterbox, those hours you've spent retouching the same image 11 times, asking your wife if she can tell the difference between the two, right? Or you being stuck somewhere for 4 hours just trying to get a shot and the driver won't listen and he keeps coming down the wrong side of the road. Okay, so all these things are going. The only reason I know this is from my own video production and how mediocre a product I produce and how long that takes. So producing a high-quality product must be 10 times longer. So how do you go with that? How is that whole production process like? you punch it out quarterly. Does it take all quarter to produce?
It takes about a month to produce. I suppose it takes a month to produce, a month to kind of gather the information and all the content, and then and print, and then you've kind of got a gap. There's about a month gap where you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
let's go again. Yeah, someone needs to pull a string in your back to get you going again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So no, but it's awesome. Like it's a grind and it's work, but it's fun stuff.
And you do this full time now, Lee?
Near enough. It's more full time than my other stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Just hope your other employer's not listening.
No, I tell them, I'm like, no, like I still do magazines for other clients. So yeah, I'm a designer kind of by trade, graphic designer and or creative director, they call you now after you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, okay. I think you're called a graphic designer when you graduate from university. You become a creative director after you're too old.
Yeah. They don't know what to call you anymore.
Yeah. Oh, no, we can't call them the same as the 19-year-old. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, senior.
Yeah, okay, that's probably the next level. Oh, that came with a beard. You became senior when you got the beard. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they can't. So I do client magazines for people, which has been interesting to talk about magazines. In any business, you need to give the client what they want, and you can steer them in a direction. But it's funny that most companies now are going to like a client magazine rather than brochures and stuff like that. So a nice, lovely, sexy looking magazine that they can have in there for you.
Yeah.
Is something that they really have a lot of value in, which it's a different way of having a brochure. It's a brochure.
Sure.
It's still a brochure on them, but the reader kind of feels like it's
less disposable.
It's something else.
Mm-hmm. Can you, out of curiosity, with regards to the vehicles that you feature in the magazine, you typically have a cover car and then 2 or 3 other vehicles per issue. The magazine.
Marc, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Have I dropped out? Am I good?
No, you're all right.
Oh, yeah, good. Yeah,
you just went a bit distant.
Okay. With the magazine itself and the vehicles that you feature each issue, do they come to you? Do you go hunting for them? Someone says, have you seen this one? How does that work for you historically?
Yeah, it comes down to like a big mix in the magazine. So, I don't want to feature 6 964s in a row type of thing. Not that maybe that'd be a good thing.
Yeah.
So I try and
of them.
Yeah. And you could, but I try and give Duck and Whale a lovely kind of mix of a different kind of rhythm and light and dark and different kind of moods throughout the magazine. Yeah. And then get a spread, because we're all Porsche, a different spread of new and old cars and different types of engine configurations and things.
Sure.
Even though we are skewed heavily kind of towards the 911, but
hence the name of the magazine.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with the feature car in the latest one, the 964 with the 996 cup motor in it.
Yes.
Someone's clearly invested an absolute bomb of money into this car, right? Even as a Porsche enthusiast that appreciates, some of those really expensive outcomes like Singer or Gunther Works, that type of thing. This thing's just world class, and it's been made here in Australia.
It is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
No.
How did you give it back?
What's that?
How did you give it back?
I didn't want to get out of it. It was good fun. I really like that. That's right in my wheelhouse. That kind of car, and my kind of motorsport history was growing up. With my high school year, we all had Mazda rotaries, and it was a bit of a power war happening.
Yeah, sure.
So, big horsepower, loose, kind of on the limit cars were kind of what I grew up with.
Yeah.
So this thing was like, oh, this feels familiar.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But definitely, to say that thing is loose on the limit is an insult. But it's kind of got that feeling, that motorsport feeling.
Sure.
And that thing was doing things that a classic 911 is not supposed to do. It was moving in a direction that was just a bit mind bending.
Yeah.
And a very special car, and a credit to Corsairs who built the thing.
Yeah, stunning. How has COVID affected your ability to generate content for the coming issues?
A little bit. It stopped kind of us from traveling. We're sponsoring a event in the UK, Oil Cooled, over with Frank Cassidy. You probably know him at Black Betty at Boxing Gassy. So we were supposed to get over there and go and say good day to all the UK crowd, and we're kind of stuck by the looks. I could do it, but I've got to spend a month in quarantine, and
the event might be good, but it's not a month in quarantine good.
Yeah, that's a big ask.
Yeah. Especially after what you did to your wife when you first started this. I don't know if she's going to be that keen on it now.
Yeah, and now we've got 3 kids, so that'll be fun.
Oh, yeah, okay.
3 boys.
Even better. Yeah, okay. Demolition squad.
Yeah. But, when one door shuts, another one opens. So you've got that kind of thing where people are just wanting to do things where they can, and I get a lot of emails from people saying, hey, I've got this shoot, or I've got this coming up, or are you interested in this? And that's kind of how we get that global feel.
Mm-hmm. I find you've got a pretty good balance between what I see is typically 2 schools of Porsche fans, and that is you've got very much, and look, a few people bridge the 2 groups. So you've got the cool kids, like the R group, informal driving groups of guys who have heavily modified cars, and then you've got the Porsche club people who whose concourse was in an inch of their life, and then there's most of us sit somewhere in the middle, where we'd love to be with the cool kids, but with the limitations we have in our life at any moment in time means, we're not going to be able to buy the tools that, well, when I say tools, I mean vehicles that are, that we could enjoy to be there, like, such as RWB cars, or like even like that car we spoke about a minute ago, the 964 with the Mezger motor in it. And the magazine does a pretty good job of covering both by you've clearly got a good relationship with Porsche Cars Australia on getting their advertorial type pages in the magazine. So I commend you on being able to bridge that gap, because it seems a lot of the publications very much sit either on one extreme or the other. You seem to sit pretty comfortable in the middle there.
Yeah. I was, as you're asking me this question, I was kind of thinking, well, how am I going to answer this? And I think that it probably comes down to because this magazine is run by solely kind of myself. We have a few advisors and some helpers and whatnot, but the content is kind of just decided upon by me. So potentially it's a reflection of my take on all those. Sure. Different genres, and how I'm quite open to everything. Mm-hmm. And I try not to shy away from enthusiasm, and so Duck and Whale is a reflection of the scene, and I really want to, if someone's really excited about their car and just loves the thing, then it's got a place in Duck and Whale.
And look, let's face it, for you, it's pretty easy article or content to provide when someone's that passionate about the outcome, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's it is a bit of a cliche where it's just like, oh, we just need to get to that little, that distilled automotive fun, and but that's what we're trying to do. I kind of think that car ownership it's just like a collection of fleeting moments. You know, like,
Yeah.
why do you love this car? And it's like, well, you know, on Thursday I drove out of the tunnel and you know, the noise was reflecting off the walls, and it just put a smile on my face just for like a second and a half, where it was annoying the shit out of me two minutes before.
Yeah, yeah.
So
not the conversation a Tesla owner has.
No. No. Yeah, and that's another thing. So that bloke approached me at the Centennial Park thing, saying he was building an SC with a Tesla kit and all this kind of stuff. So that's going to be the next thing. It's going to test my enthusiasm radar.
I've been quite vocal.
Going to be part of it.
Yeah, I've been quite vocal in podcasts about my, I guess, lack of respect for the energy it goes into electric resto modding cars, regardless of brand. I can't get my head on with it. And look, each their own. It's their energy, their money, their enthusiasm. Like you said, if someone's into it up to their back axles, it's hard. It's hard for it not to be infectious, right? But whenever I just see these glimpses of them, or hear someone talking about doing it, I'm just, not for me.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah. But each their own. That's even after driving electric cars. I've no doubt you've had the opportunity behind the wheel of a Taycan by now, and sure, you can appreciate how an amazing motor vehicle it is, and just about every metric you can measure, with the exception of rear visibility. But the other, everything about that car is incredible. But
it's fast enough. You don't need rear visibility.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's actually the point I brought up as well. I actually did a video review on it. Was, why even have mirrors? No one's overtaken you.
Yeah.
It's not even a concern. Yeah. But
that's crazy, that car. When I drove it, I the first thing I thought was the police need these, and because they're just so quick, and because they're just going to get left behind. And we're moving from the horse and cart to the Model T here. Like this is a crazy step.
Yeah, look, for me, it was a real epiphany moment of it's no longer about speed. If you think you're going out to buy the fastest car, that's done. That's finished now. It's so. Yeah. If you're an enthusiast, it's not a toy; it's a tool. And they're two very different things to me. The toy is something you get in for engagement, and like you said, the smile when you're coming out of the tunnel, and you back off the accelerator and the thing backfires because you haven't tuned your carbies properly, or whatever it is that works for you. You know what I mean? And you giggle like a little boy again. But getting into that car was really. I think those cars are going to drive people further back down the range. I think and it's happened. It's coincidentally at the same time. It's still going to be a couple of years away, but the COVID enthusiasm for online shopping has clearly been reflected in the resale values of used Porsches. At just about every metric. There's no bargains to be had out there anymore. I'm only aware of this because I'm in the market for a 911 myself, and it's getting further and further away. The dream is, so it's, if you don't already have one, you need a lot more than you used to just to get one that isn't as sorted as you would have liked. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
And just to have that engagement, which the Taycan lacked. Taycan was a great tool, 100% accept that. It was beautiful, everything about it, especially after driving a Tesla 2 days earlier. The difference was just chalk and cheese. And, you mentioned the performance. Once you get into those realms of performance of both those cars, I'm not good enough to know the difference. I know both of them made my organs move in my body, which was uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what they said. Chris Harris was give him a plug. He needs it. And when he reviewed the GT3, he just said 500 horsepower. That's enough. We don't need any more. This is fine. We don't have to keep going to 700 in a GT3. Like 500 is fine. We've hit the limit.
Look,
this is a sweet spot.
500 horsepower, Lee, that is about 150 more than I'm actually capable of driving on the road anyway.
Yeah. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah. I know my ability. Like, I drive this thing parked behind me and it's got about 60 horsepower. And I've got to tell you, it's enough for me. But don't get me wrong, you get a 911, you use what you got, you have fun regardless. But driving modern 911s, like 992, even a stock 992 is a horrifically fast car.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're quick. Yeah.
Horrifyingly. On the topic of performance,
yes.
Have you had much opportunity to get behind the wheel of motorsport cars? Like when I say motorsport, I'm talking track motorsport.
Proper race cars.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of hot laps.
Yeah. No one's chucked you the keys to a 962 or anything like that yet?
Not yet. No. So maybe that's coming after lockdown or after whatever we're doing with this COVID thing, or if it's going to stay forever, who knows. Probably the highlight was at Rensport, where I got to jump in with Craig Baird, going through around Sydney Motorsport Park in the museum 935.
Wow, okay.
That was pretty fun.
Amazing.
Just seeing him try and muscle the thing around the track, it was just, it's
I imagine the turbo comes on like a sledgehammer too.
Just nuts. Just like the front went, the back went, the front went. He was he was having loads of fun, but it was
imagine doing it for 24 hours at Le Mans though.
Just crazy. Whereas the new cars are finesse and adjustments and light hands and that one is not so much. But no, I need to get into a cup car or something. I know a lot of them, but I haven't really been a part of it yet. But look, I track my own car, but it's kind of like hot laps and super sprint events and things like that with R-Specs and
sure,
and race pads and things.
Tell me, what is your car?
So it's a 73 911T that someone's made into like a track club racer. There's been millions of them, that kind of 73 RS club racer look. Yeah, sure. So I picked it up from a local workshop down here, and they were looking after it for the guy, and he was getting out of a few cars, and they just picked it up, and I found it at their place, and we did a deal.
Oh, good job. How long have you had it for?
About a year after I started the mag, I picked up the 911. So about 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
it's really
2.4 or 2.7?
So it's got a 3-litre SC engine.
Yeah.
The steel line engine, which is supposed to be a little bit better or more horsepower or something. So it's got a CIS, but it's a fairly standard engine. So if you don't mess with that injection system, apparently it works forever and is fine. And when you start modifying the car and then trying to modify the injection system to suit, that's when you run into headaches.
Yeah, it's working. Don't breathe near it, please. No one look at it wrong.
No, just leave it and it's fine.
Yeah, please.
It'll run forever. Someone told me that.
Don't bump it when you're changing the spark plugs, whatever you do.
Don't touch it. But someone said they run those things on Mercedes cabs or something in Germany. So
is that right?
At the time, so they're made to go forever. But So it's a 915 box, LSD, short ratios, no carpet or no sound deadening, with a bit of crappy carpet glued to the floor and some race seats and a cage.
Yeah. And I guess with 3 kids now, you've passed the threshold on having to try to fit the family in.
Yes. So I just don't bother at all.
Yeah. So everyone into the Kia Carnival.
Yeah.
And
you bring a trailer or something.
And tell me, with regards to the how often do you get out in it, the car?
A couple of times a week, I suppose. I used to drop my kid at school, but now I've got my second son is starting school. There's only one seat, so we stopped doing that. But look, it's my car. The wife's got a car. Hey,
Pearl,
put those back.
Say hello.
So it's if I'm on a photo shoot or something, I'll drive it out there, and I try to drive as much as possible. It works. They work much better when you drive them.
Oh, look, all old cars do. There's no doubt about it. And I actually think those stock 3 litres, everybody talks about, newer, better, faster, that type of thing. That's a real sweet spot in performance in those in that body. You know what I mean? It's just, you get a lot. It gives you a lot straight off the block without any modifications whatsoever. They're just good driving cars.
Yeah. So the reason they did that, it's not a stressed engine. The car weighs under 1,000 kilograms, and then you've got this torquey 3 litre. So the horsepower is around the 200 mark, was supposed to be.
Yep.
And the bloke that put it together, when I bought it, it had the red Carrera on the side. It had my 73 RS number plates. So the bloke was going for that RS look and feel and weight and power to weight ratio, basically.
Yeah, good one. Mm-hmm.
So, so I could do that without, the engine. When I bought it, they said, this engine's going to run for 10 years if you can thrash the hell out of it for that long, and then we'll have a look at it then.
Yeah, there certainly seems to be plenty of people who've still got 3 litre cars done 250, 300,000 Ks plus. There's no doubt about that, and they just keep putting oil in them.
Yeah, and they rev lovely. Yeah, it's got like a light and flywheel and all the motorsport stuff. So it's all the basic motorsport stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's just really responsive, and it's loud. It's got a big loud exhaust, and it just barks, and
lovely.
All that stuff I love.
And events with COVID on, it's been somewhat challenging for all of us to get to whatever events we want to go around the world. I imagine you've been fortunate enough to visit a number of the premier Porsche enthusiast events, like you mentioned Rennsport in Sydney there before. If you managed to go to the Rennsport in the States?
So, we went to the last one. That was just before I think we'd launched 2 issues.
Yeah.
So I think we'd been going 6 months when that one kicked off. Well, that was 2019, was it?
Yeah, I think it was 19, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I flew over there, and a mate of mine came over. That runs George, that runs some awesome custom trailers, and he was trying to kind of get into the market, or whatever. So we jumped on a plane, and he rented a van, one of those like hostage takeover vans.
Yeah, I know the type you mean.
Dodgy giant white van.
Yeah.
And he got there first. He was doing circles of the airport, LAX, like in this van.
Yeah, everyone's expecting Jason Statham to get out. Yeah, okay. Well, Liam Neeson,
waiting for me to get off the plane, and he's like, I don't know how they didn't throw me out of here. But
classic.
Anyway, so I drove down to where we had it was such a small time operation at the time, and we had a shipping container in a farm. Yeah, so we took this van out to the kind of the south of California, and we set up like a pack and send place on this farm.
Yep.
Where was it? Where was that? God, I can't remember the name of the place, but it was basically a dirt farm with gum trees. It's strange that there's gum trees in California.
I've heard that. I've heard there's quite a few eucalypts there. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, we packed all the stuff in there, and we drove like, God knows, was it 6 hours or 6, 7 hours or something? 9 hours? I don't know. A long way up, all the way up to Monterey, and we did the show.
Oh,
but that was a hell of it's just a hell of an event. It's, as an Australian going there, your brain just can't deal with.
Oh, your head would be spinning on your neck, wouldn't it?
At one point, I think it was day 3, and I got up one morning to go in there because we had a stall and a tent we were selling, so we were in there early, and it was great just to meet everyone. And I wandered through with a coffee trying to like get my head in order, and I walked through 12 959s without noticing.
Oh,
and I kind of just, I got through it, and my brain just went, hang on. I just turned around and hear all these cars, and I'm just standing there staring at them, and then this other Aussie came up and just went, "You're right, man." You doing?
Yeah,
you lost.
Yeah, look, you're at sensory overload when you're not paying attention to vehicles like that, don't
you? Yeah. Oh, it's just amazing. So, yeah, we did do a video on that, a slight little video from what I could catch. I didn't have a gimbal at the time, so it's a bit shaky, but
yeah, no, look, I'm sure it would have been an amazing experience, and the video would be great to look back on anyway when you're thinking, oh God, I wish I was going this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you done any of those events?
I haven't. No, I had a pre-COVID, before COVID actually hit us, I actually had something like 11 trips planned overseas to go to various events. And I was going to go to Lufthansa before it was closed. She's made a mask.
Looks like you made a mask, but I think so. No?
And I was planning to go to Lufthansa and Idler's 12-hour in Japan.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah. And I was fortunate enough for 2019 to have a full FIA press pass for all the Formula One events as well, but they all got called off as well. So I'd planned about 7 of those to go to. And, and I was sort of going to follow a couple of the teams in the Carrera Cup events that were at each Grand Prix. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's what it is. Hopefully, years to come. I'm planning to be in Melbourne for F1 this year. If it goes ahead, we just have to wait and see with what's going on down there at the moment.
Tell me about the scene in the Porsche scene in WA.
A lot of it is centralised around the Porsche Club. The sports series very strong here, but it is Enthusiast sports series, with the exception of probably about 6 drivers who have GT3 RSs or ex-Cup cars. Okay, there does seem to be quite a big uptake on Cup cars that are no longer eligible to race. So people are buying them as their track cars these days. And, because they're a pretty reasonably priced way to get into it, I guess, for that. I don't do track racing at all, so but I've been led to believe that's the case. And then there's a couple of social groups who do their thing, a few boys' weekends here and there, that type of thing, and a social drive once a month, usually very early in the morning. That group tends to be a lot more water-centric, a lot more modern cars, not a lot of air-cooled in that group, and it tends to be a bit more spirited driving than the Porsche Club does. So it's not a bad balance between the two. I've been on a couple of their drives, and it's good. It's like my 356 isn't very suitable for it because they're waiting all the time for me. But, if you're in a 997 onwards type thing, you're usually pretty fine with regards to what goes on and how long those trips take. So but other than that, it's all pretty good. There's a lot of cars that you rarely see, but when they do come out, it's a delight. I'm sure it's the same in New South Wales, where you go, where'd that car come from? I've been into this for a while, never seen it before. So they're always nice to see those. And there's a couple of good collections around that rarely see the light of day or rarely get photographed or filmed. So when those cars come up, it's always nice. That excites me, that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Yeah, but we've got a few. I think there's about 4 or 5 original 356 speedsters in WA at the moment. So,
okay.
Yeah, they're becoming extremely rare cars in Australia. So, knowing there's that many of them here is pretty good.
Yeah.
When they do rear their head,
just owned by the same bloke.
No, there's actually I don't know anyone that owns 2 speedsters.
Okay.
I don't know anyone that owns a speedster that doesn't also own other 356s though. If it's not their only 356, if it's a speedster, as is often the case with 356 enthusiasts, nice. It's good.
How long you had your car?
Got it 2013, early 2013.
Okay.
Yeah, I found it in the days following the birth of my daughter. So and I'd been searching for a couple of years. It was. Yeah, but
the wife was in hospital and you thought, this is it.
I was like, I think it was the first or second day home, and the mother-in-law was down or something. And I got on a plane at overnight flight because it was in summer over to Brisbane. So I get on a plane at like 1 o'clock in the morning, get there at 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was. Went straight, had a look at it. Yep, good. I'll take it. Got back on the plane, was home by about 3 o'clock that afternoon, the following day. So, it's and then it took about a month to get the car here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But So I love it. It's part of the family, and I'll let my daughter deal with it to get rid of it once I'm gone, if she ever does, or whatever she does with it.
Yeah.
Look, in reality,
great things.
Yeah, if I got rid of it now, I wouldn't replace it because I couldn't justify how much they're worth. So that's what it is. So, but I was going to ask you before we wind up today, if that's all right. How is the looks like, can you hear me? Because looks like my screen's. Hang on, I've got a problem here.
Okay. I can still hear you.
Oh, okay. I am back. I'm back. Might have just had bad internet connection or something. Yeah.
You just got tweened.
There seems to be quite a appetite with Porsche enthusiasts to buy all the lifestyle Porsche magazines that are currently, there's probably about half a dozen or so that are very, I wouldn't say similar to yours, but are comparable themed. And, like I mentioned earlier about the R group type guys and, 000 magazine and things like that. Do you subscribe to these and make sure you guys aren't crossing over that much or that type of thing?
No, I don't. I got a friend that does and keeps sticking them under my nose, so I get to have a look.
Oh, yeah, okay. I was just curious about, competitive enthusiasm. But it seems like if you subscribe to one, everyone I speak to, if they subscribe to one of these magazines, if it's a Porsche-related one, they seem to have subscribed to all of them anyway.
Yeah, most. Well, yeah. Well, I think that just in anything, there's, you've got your people, you've got your kind of audience, and so some people won't subscribe to Triple O because it's too expensive. Where other people, they just, it's a different, it's slightly different vibe. It's a slightly different, take on things. It's very much Porsche, obviously, and it's a beautiful magazine. But for some reason, there's guys that will buy Duck and Whale that won't buy that, and there'll be, the Triple O guys that think Duck and Whale is a bit too casual or something. I don't know.
Sure.
But yeah, look, there's 5 different laundry detergents and they all seem to sell.
Oh, 100, yeah, for sure.
So it's
there's definitely home for it. And look, the fact that you're up to issue 16 is proof that the market's big enough for everyone anyway.
Yeah. People love it. And it's just like if you send 2 photographers to the same event, you're going to get a total different take on things. And I like to think that Duck and Whale is an art piece, and it's gonna have its own view.
Yep, sure.
On the scene.
Do you use many contributors from overseas?
Yeah, well, not many. I've got a guy in Belgium that helps me out. Bart helps me out sometimes from Flat 6 Loverfed. Do you know that?
I don't.
There's that book.
Oh, goodness, look at the size of it.
It's giant. Yeah.
Looks like the old Yellow Pages.
Yeah. It's an amazing doorstop. No, it's filled with he shoots black and white old Leica on an old Leica with film. So it's a kind of different take on things. He's in Belgium and he shoots colour every now and then and sends it over.
Yeah.
I've got connections over there. It's just what we can do and how much we can fit into an issue. And again, it's like what I'm looking for. I'll if we're down in one kind of area, then we can go looking for it.
Now, I've spoken to a couple of people that you and I will be having a chat in this podcast, and the one that did the question that I was asked to ask you on both occasions was, when are you getting more transaxle content?
Never.
Well, there goes half my viewers. Yeah, okay, thanks. Or just the right product hasn't appeared yet for you, I guess.
Soon. Well, the good ones are in Melbourne or in South Australia, aren't they?
There seems to be a lot of them, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I want to get down. I need to get on a plane and start traveling again. I'm just a bit freaked out that I'm going to get stuck.
Yeah, fair. Look, I sympathise completely. I thought I was home and host. Melbourne didn't have any problems for 3 months. I thought I could go over and do some work in Victoria. 3 days later, I'm flying home.
Yeah. Look, I do need to kick up the arse every now and then, I love all the cars, and it just depends what kind of comes to hand at different points, and
sure,
yeah, we do need more transactions in Amazing.
Yeah,
even though they're all transactions.
Yes, true. Yeah. Look, I really appreciate you taking the time to have a chat with us today, and it's been good. It's nice to meet you face to face for video watchers anyway. And please, if you stay in touch, and next time in New South Wales, expect a tap on the shoulder. Yes, no problem. It's been like a staycation. I've done my little travel to WA. Yep. Mm-hmm. Awesome. I appreciate the call. Thank you very much. See you guys. Cheers. Bye.